Hey y'all, I'm Emma Shirley, and I will be doing my newspaper presentation on a newspaper from Vanuatu and Vietnam, but it's going to talk about the United Arab Emirates. The Vanuatu article is called Heritage Tourism, and it's about how people usually come to Vanuatu for the beaches and the entertainment and the nature type stuff, but now it has the potential to become a heritage tourism destination. And heritage tourists travel the world in search of historical monuments and buildings and things like that instead of the more entertainment stuff. And a man named Mr. Howlett was interviewed, and he supports the protection of Vanuatu's heritage, such as they have old churches and missionary buildings and World War II buildings and things like that. Um, Historical sites show where Vanuatu has come as a nation and where it is going, which I think is really interesting, and I'll talk about that a little bit more later. The second article is from, again, the Vietnam newspaper, but it talks more about the UAE, and it's called the article is called Hamdan bin Mohammed Heritage Center, Dubai Airports sign MOU to promote heritage awareness. And it's about how a memorandum of understanding was signed to promote awareness about UAE's national heritage amongst the tourists and visitors. This demonstrates enthusiasm about the heritage between both of the parties that signed the MOU. The sites at the Dubai airports will have interactive expedition stands, which is really cool. They're going to have things to educate people on the national celebrations and festivals and sports and activities and things like that. The Dubai airports hold as a national gateway for residents and domestic and international visitors. So that's why this is a perfect partnership for these people to be a part of as they promote each other's heritage. In regards to connection to global fluency in our class, the first article had the aspects of terrible heritage, which were the missionary houses and the old churches and the World War II buildings. And we talked about in class how tangible heritage is so important. Intangible heritage is for sure too, but tangible heritage, we sometimes are inclined to forget where we came from or forget to respect where other people came from and their perspectives, and as we're having conversations with people about different things. And so tangible heritage or aspects of terrible heritage are very important when we need to remember where we came from and to encourage each other to um, respect each other's cultures and educate ourselves and things like that, because it's right in front of our face instead of the intangible heritage that you don't really come across as much. Again, the article addresses how Vanuatu has grown from its past and is going towards its future, which made me think of what heritage is really all about, as we discussed from the Haiti slam poem. And the discussion that we had during that, the question was, do you think that life experiences are a part of intangible heritage, really? And I definitely think so. And a lot of people in my group did too, as we discussed that. And so that made me think of that as in the Haiti, like, slam poem. If you go through a traumatic experience, it's going to affect how you think about things in the future, or you can empathize with other people when bad things happen to them. But it's also really encouraging because as you look towards the future, you can correct mistakes that you've made in the past based on, like, either respecting other people's cultures, or you can as you learn more about people, be more encouraged to learn about even more cultures and things like that. In the second article, they are promoting awareness of the heritage, which kind of reminded me of the repatriation videos that we talked about. And this article actually adds a different, interesting perspective of kind of the whole point behind the repatriation of the artifacts and Rosetta Stone and stuff, because this article kind of provides an example of how, if two countries are willing to cooperate and promote each other's heritage and like awareness of it, then both countries really benefit from that. And in the repatriation videos, it was a debate, between the two places that really wanted it to contribute to theirs. But in the end, both the artifacts at the end of the day are a part of both of theirs. So it's interesting to see the different perspectives on the repatriation. And this made me think of that for sure. Um, and moving into the comparison of each article to each other, both have people or organizations that have so much cultural pride, which I thought was really cool because, again, in the repatriation video, it was just a bunch of debating and people getting angry at other people. And so it was cool to read these articles because both of them finally had people that were excited to promote each other's heritage and excited to tell tourists and things about them and their heritage and their past. And so I thought that was really cool. They're specifically, both articles are excited about promoting their heritage to tourists, like I said. So it is important for people that are native to that country to appreciate where they came from and their heritage. But it's also cool to encourage tourists and outsiders and visitors to come in and be welcomed really into the culture and to learn more about where they are and the food and the festivals and that kind of thing. Lastly, both again use their past to benefit their future, and I kind of already talked about that. In comparison with my own perspective, I didn't grow up feeling super really connected to my heritage, which sounds weird, but it just wasn't really a conversation as much as it should have been, in my opinion. So the reading about the cultural pride that both of the articles have was so cool, and it kind of has encouraged me to learn more about my heritage. And throughout the rest of this class, I'm excited to see where I can grow personally in that journey. Specific to the first article, the subject on tangible heritage relates to my perspective on how strong the buildings and monuments and, again, aspects of tangible heritage are. And I kind of talked about this earlier, but from my own experience, I went on a spring break trip with my family one year, and some of my family is from Panama City Beach, Florida. And it's kind of crazy because my uncle is a lot younger, obviously, than my grandmother and grandfather. And so, but they all grew up on the same street, like years apart or whatever. And so it was, we visited that street, and it was so cool to see like how the intangible heritage aspects of stories that I had heard from that street and all the things that had happened in the houses and the different, honestly, seasons of life that they went through on that street. Like each family was different. Hearing about like being able to connect really those stories with the buildings and seeing the houses where my family grew up and seeing the places that they worked because we went into town. And so things like that really what really showed me how important tangible heritage aspects are and how those link to the intangible heritage parts. The second article's evidence of how two groups can work together to encourage each other to promote their heritage really relates to my feelings on a lot of world conflicts. I am not in any way as educated as I should be, and I'll admit that for sure, about a lot of the world's conflicts, and even in the United States. But whenever I do hear about certain conflicts or sit there and hear my friends like debate it or talk about it, and I like or whenever I choose to do educate myself as I should, I really just find at the baseline of everything that kindness is the most important thing. And I know that it's so much easier said than done to sit here and be like, if everybody was kind to everyone, we wouldn't have as many problems, which is true. And I believe that, but it is, again, very easier said than done. And I am and by no means a world leader or anything like that. So I know that there's like so many logistics that goes into it and responsibilities that we can't even imagine. But even so, at the end of the day, I believe that kindness is the foundation should be the foundation for all of this, and or like how we really resolve anything or go through life. And I am not an expert in that at all, and I don't act in kindness in everything I do by any means. I'm not saying that I do, but I believe that I need to work on that for sure, and that we all really need to work on that, because I believe that if each of us give a little bit of kindness, then it can go a long way. So that's the end of my presentation. Thank you for watching.